Hi guys, thanks for checking out the channel. In today's video we're going to be installing possibly the cheapest combi boiler on the market, and we'll find out if it's any good or not. Before that we've got to strip out an old vented system, take out a back boiler unit and run a new gas carcass. Okay, so we're starting off this job by putting a brand new gas carcass in. Now originally the gas feed only goes to the back boiler unit, but obviously that's not going to be the right size or in the right location for us. So we're going to be installing the gas boiler inside the airing cupboard. Now this isn't ideal because it's actually in the centre of the house. Now unfortunately this property is pretty much just covered with glass front and back, and there's no actual viable location for it. The windows span pretty much the whole length of each room. So what we are doing is we're going to be installing the boiler in here where the existing airing cupboard was and the hot water cylinder that I've just ripped out, and then we're going to be running a vertical flue through the roof and terminating it there. So what I'm doing while Bailey's doing the gas carcass is I'm just stripping out the old airing cupboard, cylinder and pipe work, and I'm just working out exactly what all this pipe work is down here. Now if you want to see any more information on how to do a combi conversion, we've done a couple before and I'll leave a link at the end of this video. But just to run you through quickly what we've got here, we've got a flow and return that is dropping down to the back boiler unit. So really I just need to identify where the flow and return runs into the central heating. And it's quite simple on this one. You can see it here, it's just branching off. But I just need to be careful that I'm not including the previous hot water return to the cylinder. So that was that one there, that little 15mm pipe. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's just teed in underneath at the back there. So what I'm gonna have to do is either cap that or remove that totally, and then I can branch straight into my combi boiler. So although this location isn't ideal for the flue and the condense pipe, it is ideal because we have got all the existing pipes here that we can just alter and reroute to suit the new combi boiler. Now the condense pipe, coming to that's going to be a bit tricky. We're going to have to use a condense pump to either pump it through these joists here into a new bathroom suite that's going there so we can get rid of it into a waste pipe, or we might actually take it up through the airing cupboard into the loft and then try and lose it into the soil stack. So yeah, now I've got this all ripped out, I'm just going to neaten all this up and get my boiler hung on the wall. Right, we are now on the roof of this property. It's not too bad, the slope isn't too steep, so we just run up here nice and easy, but we have got the scaffolding to make sure we're nice and safe. So again, we've had to go vertical on this one. It's not something that I particularly like doing too often, but there is no space for a horizontal flue on either side of the property. This is potentially going to be having an extension or even another house built on the side of it, so we're really lacking in wall space. But anyway, this has worked out pretty well for us here. So exactly where we want the flue, we've just removed one tile. We've slotted the lead slate underneath, so above it and either side. So we're actually only going to have a little bit of lead protruding there, and I feel like that's the best way to do it. We was looking at some of the other vertical flues and we feel like ours is far superior. But I'll let you be the judge of that. All of them above the ridgeline, unlike ours. Anyway, what we're going to do is get this tile cut, and then you'll hardly notice the lead's even there. Okay, so while I've been finishing off the vertical flue, Bailey is just installing the vertical flue kit adapter on the boiler we're going to be fitting. So for those of you who are eagle-eyed, this is the Navien NCB300. Now this is probably the cheapest combi boiler I can find on the market at the moment. It's 28 kilowatts, doesn't come in a 24, and you can get it on a deal at the moment at Williams Trade Merchants with the flue and a wireless smart controller for around about £600. So I would say it's an absolute bargain. Now for those of you who follow the channel, you would have seen that we have fitted the bigger brother of this boiler, the flagship model, the NCB300, and we was both really impressed with its performance, and the customer has been really satisfied with it, only ever get good feedback from it. So We are now going to try the entry-level model in the Navien combi boiler range. Now, first impressions are, it doesn't look too dissimilar to the flagship model. I might be wrong, but I believe the heat exchanger is different though. I believe it's made from a different material. It is stainless steel, but I don't think it's as premium as the one that comes in the flagship model. Another thing we noticed straight away was no Grundfos pump or Wilo pump. It looks like it's Navien's own brand, so we'll see how we get on with that. On the plus side, you do get a filling loop. Unfortunately, it does stick out horrendously from the front like that, so hopefully they'll change the design. But extra bonus, you've got the PRV on the outside, which I believe all boiler manufacturers should start doing that. I feel like that's a really good design choice. Now, this boiler, I believe, comes with a 5-year warranty. It isn't the 10 or 12 years you can get on a flagship model, but for 600 or close to 600 pounds, you can't really knock it. So we'll get this on the wall, get it all piped up, and then we'll show you how to use it and how to operate it when it's all commissioned. Okay, that's the new Navien NCB300 28 kilowatt boiler installed. I'll just take you through some of the pros and cons I found whilst installing it. So one thing that I really like with Navien is their wireless smart thermostat. You can see over here, it's quite basic to look at, but it's got quite a lot of good operational features like geofencing. It pairs up straight away once you connect up the wireless receiver. And you have this orange lead which is easily identifiable inside the boiler, and it just plugs straight in. Now, whilst I was working on the boiler, the jig underneath was actually really accessible. You can see all the brass valves are almost set at different depths, so getting the spanners in is quite easy. Probably visually not the most appealing, but practicality wise it's really good. Now, this filling loop is definitely something that I don't like. It sticks out quite far past the face of the boiler. And I think in reality this needs to be swapped for something rigid, and just to make that a bit more practical, especially if you're trying to put this boiler in a kitchen cupboard. Now, I do like on the left hand side you've got this exposed pressure gauge, which is obviously very handy when you're filling it up. No need to go into the digital menu. And also you've got the exposed PRV. Now, the only thing with that PRV is they did provide me with a nut and olive, but it's actually a flat-faced half-inch thread on that PRV, so I've had to use that female fitting there. Now, the condense pipe, you've got a rubber hose, which you've got some crimp clips, which makes it really easy to do. Just crimp that straight onto your standard overflow size pipe work. Now, one of my main negatives with the Navien gas boiler range are these clips underneath which hold the case on. Now, they seem quite fragile, and I think it actually makes taking the cover off a little bit of a pain. So you unscrew that brass clip and it almost like opens up, and then you have a metal hinge. So I'm just not too sure why they've made them plastic. Even on the flagship range they're like that, but I'm assuming if they had any problems with them they obviously wouldn't have designed them that way. But it just feels, I don't know, maybe a little bit cheap is the word. But other than that, my experience of installing it has been absolutely fine. Powering it up has been absolutely no problems at all. Just works straight away, no rough or long commissioning process. Now, this boiler comes with a 5-year manufacturer's warranty. Its modulation rate is 7:1. And like I say, it's got that smart integrated thermostat where you can adjust all your features and geofencing, programmable time, stuff like that. Now, another negative I'm afraid to say is the display. It's very difficult to actually see in bright light. Obviously I am shining a light directly at it at the moment, but even with the sunlight it's quite hard to see. I did kind of like cover it up just to make sure it wasn't the screen that was broken, and yeah, when it's dark it's obviously a lot easier to use. Now, if any of you have worked on the Navien oil boiler, you would probably recognise this display, but it doesn't seem to be as feature rich as the on display on there, and it's definitely more basic version. But you've got the same buttons, so you've got your menu button here, you can change your flow temperatures, etc. Reset button. Now if ever you get a fault with the boiler, it will actually display on the smart thermostat as well, which I think is a really nice touch, especially on a budget boiler. And obviously you've got your eco modes, stuff like that, information. And yeah, so you can still get into your diagnostics on this one. This can be range rated. I believe it goes down to 4 kilowatts. But overall, it's been a good experience. Now, the flues are generic. They are exactly the same as the ones that's used on the Viessmann boilers, so I like using them, and they're no problem at all. You just can't put any screws through them. But overall, this combi conversion's gone pretty good, I would say. We had to strip this copper all the way back there just to neaten it up, otherwise it's going to look like a complete mess. So quite happy with how it turned out. Didn't need to use a condense pump in the end, literally just dropped the PRV and the condense down there, and luckily the joists run the right way to run it all the way outside. So yeah, overall I think for a budget boiler it's very, very good value for money, and every Navien product I've installed so far has been really reliable, and I have been impressed with it. So other than a few slight design issues, which you get with every boiler manufacturer, you know, even the big brands, you know, Valent, Viessmann, Worcester, there's a lot of things on them that I still don't like. Not every boiler brand seems to get everything totally right, but I feel like Navien are heading on the right track, and they're worth giving a try. So like I say, £600, smart thermostat, boiler, vertical flue, it is an absolute bargain. You got a domestic hot water flow rate of close to 12 litres per minute on this. So yeah, really impressive. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to check out some of our other budget boiler reviews, and hopefully catch you on the next one.